I will, then I will do the intro. So a couple seconds here, little bar going to the side here. All right. So today we have on our spotlight call, we have a special one today. It's a 2-hour one. Today on our call, we have Faisal and Dr. Sherry, and they're both high performance coaches or mindset coaches for us here at the Michael Blanc. And we thought since it was the new year, it was a perfect time to have them on and get this going here for you guys. So hello, Faisal. Hello, Dr. Sherry, and Happy New Year.
Happy
Happy New Year
New
to
Year!
all. So excited to be here.
We are excited for the next 2 hours with y'all. And as Cody had mentioned, this is interactive. So if you have the capacity to get your screen turned on so we can see your beautiful face, that really helps with the engagement. That would be amazing. And we're just going to get started. So to get things started, I would love for us to share just for a couple minutes, what is something that you're excited about in 2024? Because it's the beginning of the year, so let's just roll with it. This is always what we're thinking about: year planning, goals, all of that sort of thing, which is why today's topic is all around productivity, because we're wanting to give you some framework in which to really take 2024 to the next level for you. But before we jump into all of that good stuff, what is something that you are super excited for? So just drop it in the chat. Let's share with each other, whatever it might be, family related, personal related, real estate related, something else crazy. And I'll share them verbally here for those that are watching who aren't with us live or aren't in the Zoom room. Somebody talked about getting their first deal in 2024. That's going to be super exciting. A first deal is always the hardest. There's so many pieces to get to put together for that first deal. Just progress. Awesome. And turning this into my main job. Yes, I love that. Go back to China for traveling and get the first deal this year. Amazing. Another first deal and getting to travel. That's great. Manny says I'm starving. I'm wondering if he's maybe meaning, starving. Go ahead. Can you explain that, Manny?
Yeah, it's because I'm so excited. I'm looking so much towards getting my first deal. I keep talking to as many brokers and as many people as possible. So I feel like I'm very pushing really hard to get this first deal.
Okay, awesome. I didn't know if you meant literally or figuratively. I was trying to think like, is he eating something right now? Awesome. And so a couple more comments. Excited to get the first deal done, more passive income. Yes, 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 yes to all of those things. Exciting. So if you have more, more things that you're excited about for this year that you would love to drop in the chat, please do so. Let's keep the energy on that rolling and support and celebrate each other. So as Cody said, I'm Dr. Sherry Fluellen. I'm one of the mindset coaches here. We have Faisal Insan, who is also another amazing mindset coach here, here in the Michael Blanc organization. We're going to a little bit of our story in a minute. But today's topic is all about productivity. So 2024 is before us. We're only a few days in, and you have got big goals, big dreams. And I know this because you wouldn't be here in the Michael Blanc organization if you didn't have some pretty lofty and probably out of the ordinary for the average person goals. And so today, the productivity mastery is what our topic is going to be, and it's going to give you a framework and help you dive into parts of your life that are probably interfering with your productivity. Now, how many of you guys have been to workshops or had conversations about productivity, and you get a bunch of tools and tricks and here's a spreadsheet and here's like how I plan my morning out? Do you guys have like a lot of those sorts of things? Yeah, got a couple hands. Well, the good news is that that's not what we're doing today. We actually have a different approach. Not that those things don't work, but the challenge is there's actually a whole layer of stuff underneath the tools and tips that if that layer underneath isn't really dealt with well, then the tools and the tricks fall flat and they don't actually work. So to kind of put it in a metaphor, if you think about farming, I grew up in North Dakota and there was farmland as far as the eye could see, crops everywhere. And in order to get a good yield in your crops, it's not what's above ground that matters. It's the dirt, it's the soil, it's the nutrients, it's the things that the seeds grow out of that matters. And so that's how we're approaching productivity today, is we are going to be tackling the things you don't necessarily obviously look at, but it's the nutrients to how your productivity is actually going to work. So before, and as we kind of shift into that topic, I think Faisal and I are really curious, and this will help our conversation today. What got you excited to be here today? Because there's a whole lot of signups, and you are the one that actually chose to be here and to carve the time out in your day to be here. So what got you excited to be here? What do you want to get out of this time together? Drop it in the chat, please, because that will help us make sure that our conversation is the most relevant to you. So what got you excited to be here today? And I'm keeping my eye on the chat here. Could be anything. Getting your first deal done. All right, so you're wanting to get some nuggets, something that can help you get closer to getting your deal done. Lisa says motivation and useful tactics to getting things done. Perfect. Lynn says, I want to make progress by learning from everyone. Brian says maintaining consistency. Manny says better understanding of the real estate processes. Edward says staying focused. Eduardo says fresh start to the year, getting started on the right foot. And Neil says learn how to overcome the obstacles that life continuously presents. And Cody says fresh start, mindset, motivation, lots of exclamation points in that. No more excuses. Awesome. All right, so as we shift into this conversation, let me share my screen real quick. Okay. As I said, productivity mastery, this is what we are going to be talking about. And our goal today is to help you understand and go through the process that will 10x your productivity, but in a slightly unique way than what you're used to. So hang on tight for that. And the way that we work is we're coaches. We're not here to teach at you and to just kind of put you to sleep with monotony and with me talking the whole time, or if I saw talking the whole time. So part of this is going to include you having an opportunity to really think through some things in your life that matter and that relate to productivity. And you'll have an opportunity to do that through journaling. So if you don't have a pen and paper handy already, go grab one, or if you want to, type it onto your computer or something like that, that's totally fine as well. But have that handy because you will be using it. Secondly, get rid of all the distractions. So many distractions in the world. So here's my phone. I put it on do not disturb mode, so hopefully it works. If you've got notifications that pop up on your computer, I encourage you to quiet those. And sometimes the distractions are biggest in our head. And so if you notice any concerns, stresses, worries creeping in, just acknowledge them, maybe jot them down, because when you write things down, you can kind of set them to the side and your brain's like, okay, I'm not going to forget this because it's written down. So you write it down, put it to the side, and you can come back to that later. You don't have to do it now. We really want you to focus, and focus is going to be your strongest ally through the next 2 hours, just focusing on your life and how to move things forward for you this year. Couple guidelines, just that every time we do things as coaches here in the Michael Blanc organization, we're really focused on creating a climate and a culture of safety where we can feel free to share what's on our heart, what's on our mind, our challenges, our struggles, and knowing that people understand and respect where we're at. And that we all have differences of opinion and perspectives. And in fact, I think that's what makes these kinds of groups powerful, is because we do have different perspectives and different ideas about things we can learn from, and just being able to love and respect everyone. All right, so briefly, our agenda, Faisal and I are going to share a little bit about our story and our background. And I'll ask Faisal to go first here in a minute. And we're going to talk a little bit more about kind of setting the stage for productivity. And then we're going to walk you through an assessment that's probably unlike any other assessment you've gone through on productivity. And then we're going to have a lot of time to really kind of dig into your thoughts and experiences around what that assessment entailed. We're going to have opportunity for you to share and think about your insights. And then we have something super special for you at the end. This is only for those of you that are actually live in the Zoom call. And so we have $1,000 bonus for you at the end. So if you can stick to the end, you will not want to miss that. All right. So as we start thinking about productivity, we've got a couple quotes here, and I would love for someone to jump and volunteer to read this quote. Who's a brave soul?
I'll do it.
One of the most common ways for the modern person to maintain self-deception is to keep busy all the time. Daniel Putnam.
Thank you, Hannah. Hannah, I would also love to ask, what does this quote mean to you?
You gotta unmute, Hannah.
Mommy, hi, sorry. My name's Mia. I'm gonna change that. My daughter's
Oh.
You're
like, who's Hannah?
She said, who's calling me, mommy?
Wow, your daughter is advancing in productivity, all right?
Right? All right, Mia, what does that mean to you?
I guess if you're always distracted, then your perception of what's happening or what you're doing is maybe different from what reality is. Or you just don't have a good grasp on how your distractions are taking away your time.
Yeah, I love that. There's this thing that we have, I learned this growing up anyway, especially in school, is that if I'm busy, like that's the gold standard, always being busy. But the challenge is, are we really being busy about the right things? And then if we're too busy, like there's that difference between working on a business and working in the business. And if we're working in the business so much, we lose sight of what actually might move the business forward even more, which is the working on the business. And so I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that perspective, Mia. And then second quote, who would like to read the second quote?
There is virtue in work and there is virtue in rest. Use both to use both to overlook neither.
Awesome. Thank you, Manny. And what does this mean to you? Like, how does it sit with you?
I don't really understand the last sentence. Use both to overlook neither.
So
But
you,
I think, yeah, I think it means that you have to understand that there's a life and work balance, right? It's good to have a balance in what you do.
yes, it's kind of like, okay, I don't know why this popped in my mind, but love and marriage. Like there's a song, like you got to have both or something. I don't know. Maybe that was a completely wrong reference. But the idea that to use both, use virtue, the virtue in work and virtue in rest, use both and overlook neither. So make sure you're using both and don't forget or kind of ignore one. And it does, kind of go back to that word balance, or that idea of making sure that kind of everything is in alignment. So thank you so much for that. All right, we're going to stop sharing here for a minute. And Faisal, I'm going to punt this to you here. Can you share a little bit about your story as it relates to productivity and why this topic is so meaningful for you?
Yeah, thanks, Sherry. Appreciate that. Great to see everybody here. Happy New Year to everyone. We're so excited to be here to support you, serve you. I'll share a little bit about why this topic is so important for me and where it became so challenging for me. It was around 2015 where I quit my normal job as a mechanical engineer, or on the path to becoming a mechanical engineer. And I jumped into the coaching influencer world. For you guys, it's the investing world, but it's both a business process. And at the time when I jumped in, about a year or so into it, my first daughter was born. I was the sole provider for my family, and we had decided, my wife and I, that my wife would be with the kids while I do the work. And at the time, started driving Uber while I'm trying to figure out how to build this business. And I remember every morning I would start at like 5:36 in the morning. It would be, especially winter months, it'd be dark. And as soon as I would get my coffee in the morning, I would get these surge of thoughts, fearful thoughts. What if this doesn't work out? What if everybody's right? What if you made the biggest mistake of your life? You quit a promising career path for something that you don't even know how it works. What if you can't figure this out? What if you can't provide for your family? And on and on and on and on. And you can imagine the fear, the pressure that I would have in that moment. And I would go through this pretty much every day for a while. But one of the most powerful things that I had with me at the time was there was a vision of creating a life that was based on freedom, that was based on purpose, that was based on leaving a legacy behind. And that vision kept me going. But the challenge was, in the first couple of years, I noticed that I was so distracted. As soon as I jumped in, I was like, okay, I can do lots of things, but where do I get started? So I would jump from one opportunity to the next one. Let me figure out how to speak on stage so I can get coaching clients. Let me figure out how to write my book. Let me figure out how to do these webinars. And pretty much in 1 week, I was a writer, I was a speaker, I was a coach, and I had just begun the whole thing. And the first year, I barely got anything done. And as investors, you guys are in this path. You are learning so many things at once, and it's like at times it might feel like, okay, what do I do first? And that was the challenge. And it wasn't until I started really diving in and stepping back from my life, started thinking about, okay, what do I actually need to focus on? What are the things that are going to be needle movers? What are the things that are going to help me move my life in a positive direction, move my business in a positive direction without sacrificing the things that actually matter to me, my family, my well-being, my health, my sense of freedom, even at that time, because it was valuable for me. How can I do that? And that required me to dig in and actually do the work, the thinking that I needed to actually set up my life the right way. And that's pretty much what we're going to go into. And I love that quote that we share around. And I had the same thought process: as long as I was busy, I was productive. But one of the things we want you to kind of remove from your change in your mind, the formula: busy does not equal being productive. There are lots of people who are working very hard and they're busy all the time, but that doesn't mean that they're actually moving anything forward. But what we're going to do today is we're going to dig deeper into what are the areas that you really need to pay attention to in the next year for you to actually become effective, productive, to move those 20% of the focus on those 20% of the things that move the 80% forward versus trying to do everything all at once.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that, Faisal. Just a little bit about kind of a example of how productivity, true productivity, has impacted my life. I would say that I've been a very busy and productive person my entire life. Kind of grew up in a family, high performing, always like have goals and doing big things. And I went through school, undergrad, master's, PhD, very quickly. Did a great job. Was in the Air Force for a little while as a psychologist. Did a great job there. Got out and then started a private practice. Did a great job for a while. And until I got to a point where I realized that all of the things that had been growing and building were where I was at the moment, I had this epiphany that it wasn't actually what was in most aligned with what I wanted. Like I was successfully building this thing that all of a sudden didn't fit with what I actually wanted. So like understanding what the vision I had for myself and my family, I have a husband and 4 kids, like understanding what do I really want my life to look like? What matters the most to me? those are things that I hadn't really dialed in yet. So while I was building this thing and kind of growing, and it really wasn't fitting. And I hit this moment. And because it wasn't fitting, then things started to crash and burn because it really wasn't in alignment with who I was, and the kind of impact that I knew I could have. And so I had that period, and now I'm in a period where, on one hand, I feel like things are going slow as far as like the growth of the different things I'm involved in. I am also a real estate investor. I've been doing that for 16 years, and I do coaching, and so we kind of, it's not growing as fast, and it can be frustrating, but my mindset has shifted because it's not just about how high I can build the skyscraper and how quickly, but I have to get that foundation really dialed in. And so that's where I'm at in my life is, I've toppled the last buildings, and now we're rebuilding. And I'm making sure that that foundation is exactly the way that I want it. So when that skyscraper is done, like I can enjoy every bit of it because it's exactly intentionally how I want it to be. It meets my values, it serves me and my family, and all of that sort of thing. So that's the gift that we are bringing to you today, is to be able to build that foundation spot on so that you never have to go back and rebuild it. And all right, so we are going to shift into the first piece of this, which is the productivity assessment, and Faisal is going to walk through that with you.
Do you want to share the slide?
Yes, would love to. Here we go.
All right. This is where I'd love for everybody to pull out your journals. We're gonna do some work around this together, and part of the reason why we shared those quotes is for you to understand that the path that you're on, assuming that you're thinking about this long term, and I would say, I mean, the multifamily path is a long-term path. At least using that vehicle, and the life that you're creating is a life by design. You want to create it the way you want to create it, a life that has freedom, a life that is aligned with your values and those things. You will need to do some thinking around, okay, how do you want to structure your life? And this will be as an initial place you can get started. And so we want to get you to think about productivity in a broader sense than just in the way, let me just get the checklist done. So we want to move away from the checklist world to actually really thinking about how to think about productivity. What areas do I need to pay attention to for me to build my business, build my life, build this path forward? So we'll go into some of the areas. Sherry, we can go into. So what we'll get you to do is just rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. And I'll kind of go through all of these as I'm talking about this, and we'll give you a little bit of space to think about this in silence as well. But I want you to just go through this in your mind, think about the areas that I'm describing, and start rating yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. What's happening in each area of your life? We can move forward, Sherry. So the first area I would love for you to, and I've put it in subcategories in there. We put it in subcategories. The first area is going to be your growth. So for you to jump in, more than likely, I'm going to guess many of you have your W-2, or you're coming from a different business. More than likely, you have a W-2 that's transitioning towards a multifamily, which means that you're going more towards entrepreneurship, investing path. The growth you're going to go through is going to be a huge growth path. So one of the areas to really focus on is what's happening. When you're looking at your calendar on a week-to-week basis, do you have time blocked for these areas? And while these are kind of interconnected, but I'll just explain each of them what's happening. So are you taking care of your mind, which means that is your mind focused? Are you learning the right things? Are you putting in the right content in your mind to move forward? Part of that could be the content around multifamily. Part of that would be around getting your mindset straight. Are you taking care of your body? because that's the thing that you're going to need to actually move this stuff forward. Are you taking care of your emotions? You're going to be dealing with a lot of fear. You're going to be struggling a lot. You're going to be distracted at times. You're going to be dealing with emotional ups and downs. How are you processing that? Are you actually taking time out to process that? So what does that mean? It means that maybe you might need to do a meditation throughout the day, or a couple of meditations throughout the day. Maybe you need to take the time to go for a walk outside. Maybe you need to take the time to talk to a coach or a mentor. Maybe you need to be part of, have an accountability group with other people. So are you actually working through some of those things? What about your spiritual side, the deeper part of who you are, whether that's connected to your faith or the deeper meaning that you have around being here? And then the financial piece of it. So one of this, I didn't used to add this, but if you guys haven't read this book, it's a really powerful book. Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. It's a relatively new book, a really good book. And this and Profit First, two books that I've read that really stresses on, it connects it that human beings are we're emotional in nature. We don't make decisions logically a lot of times. We think that our decisions about investing is made on charts and on spreadsheets and those kind of things, but actually the decisions are made in groups like this, in conversations with your neighbor, in conversation with your friends, with your mentors. Those are the times when you make bigger decisions around your path. It's not really I'm looking at all these specific numbers. So what does that mean? That means that you need to track you need to start working on the financial side, which one of the things that we avoid is looking at the financial side. So looking at your investments, looking at your expenses, tracking all that stuff. Are you actually spending time doing that? So you don't need to kind of, you can either try rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 in each of these categories, or put a general rating. But if you're doing it the first time, it might be useful to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 being that, you know what, you don't spend any time working on any of those things. And 10 being, you're very intentional. I actually block out time to work on these things. And for everybody, it'll look different to work on these things. For your body, it might be you're giving it the right nutrition, you're exercising. For spiritual life, maybe you're spending time in your faith, or however your spiritual life is, or your sense of purpose. That's what you're working on. Your financial, you're actually taking time out every week, looking at your finances, or once a month, looking at your investments, your expenses, all that stuff. And in terms of your focus, you're actually doing things to get rid of distractions and other things. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate yourself in these categories? I'll give you about a minute for this one. Think through this, and then I'll go to the next category. Sherry, did you want to add something to this? Oh, you have to unmute.
Oh, technology, gotta love it. I think you covered everything really well, and we need to be honest with ourselves. Like, if you really, really want to grow in life, we have to be brutally honest. And so really think through, how would you rate yourself in these areas? And I am gonna play a little bit of music while you guys have an opportunity for the kind of that self-thought. So if you could raise your hand, if you can hear the music. Okay. Yep, okay. Some people are
No,
saying,
I don't hear that. You might have to reshare with the sound on.
okay, hold
You
on.
might have not shared the sound with the screen share.
Yeah. Okay, hold on. Uh, Perfect.
So just take a couple of minutes, think through each of these areas, give yourself a rating on a scale of 1 to 10. Yeah, so let's Sherry, we can stop the music. Um, so let's go to the next category, and this will make sense as we go through the process because we're going to get you to walk through a few questions as we move forward. So the next category when it comes to you being productive is your relationships. One of the main things that you're going to learn, whether you're in your personal life or your business, we're human beings. We're a social species. Pretty much everything that we are going to do is related to other people. In fact, none of us would be able to sit here and listen to each other comfortably if internet was not working, Zoom was not working, electricity was not working. And guess who runs those? People who are working in the background hard for us to make sense of all this stuff. And just even for me personally, I'm saying the fact that I can be here focused because I know my wife is with my kids and they're fine and safe and secure. So I'm able to sit here, focus, and do the work with you guys. So there are a lot of people in your life that are making it possible for you to do a lot of things. But a lot of times we lose sight of our relationships and we're not intentional in those. So I want you to kind of rate yourself in your most important relationships on a scale of 1 to 10, whether it's with your family members, your spouse, your children, on a scale of 1 to 10, how intentional are you with them? Are you present with them? And you can decide how you've structured your life. On a scale of 1 to 10, are you fully there with them? Are you aligned with them? Especially if it's your life partner or business partner or collaborators. Are you intentional in that relationship? How would you rate yourself? Do you actually take in relation to productivity, which means what that means is that, or do you actually take the time out to sit down in these relationships? So if it's with your husband or wife or somebody like that, you're taking out once a week or a couple of times a week, you're actually sitting with them and reviewing your finances. You're talking about what you guys are excited about. You're discussing all the challenges that you're having. You're working through that stuff. Same thing with your business partner, whether it's the operations that you're working through, the strategy you're working through. Are you aligned? Are you actually taking the time to do that? Especially as real estate investors, you're going to be working within teams. Most of us are not taught how to work within teams. So it requires you to be much more intentional, much more present, much more proactive in these relationships rather than kind of be passive with your friends and a lot of the quality of your life, friends, family. Are you intentional in that area? A lot of people will lose track of that because they're just fully focused on work. And then 6 months later or a year later, they're like, well, I didn't even connect with this person. And of course, we all need, you don't need to be perfect in that area. You just need to be intentional. So with your team, partners, coworkers. So again, this goes into your personal and professional side, but your relationships make up a huge part of your life. So if there's no intentionality, which means that when you're looking at your calendar system or whatever tracking system you have in front of you, you haven't taken out time for you to be intentional in that area, it's not going to happen. You're going to get busy with other things. Now, one thing I want to put in there for you as you're rating yourself, a lot of times when we think of time, we think of quantity over quality. It doesn't always have to be quantity. Of course, you have to start with some amount of time, but even if you have 30 minutes with your kids, even if you have an hour with your wife or husband or somebody close to you, are you making the best of that? Are you showing up intentional or in an automated way? So you can rate the quality of that on a scale of 1 to 10. Are you intentional or are you not? Are you actually taking the time out to dedicate to that or not? Sherry, did you want to add something to that?
I just wanted to point out, for me, probably about 8 or 9 years ago is when I had this epiphany that productivity wasn't all about my to-do list. And once I was able to shift my mindset to understanding that time sitting with my kids watching a show could actually be counted as productive because it was helping me form memories and a bond with my kids. Once I was able to shift and like, oh, this that feels like it's not productive because it has nothing to do with, my businesses and things like that. Actually, it's productive. It's just productive in healthy relationships. And I hadn't included relationships as a form of or a category of productivity. So I just want to call that out very specifically because once that shifted, my mind is 100% productivity. Like I am just hardwired that way. And once I really adopted this belief that spending time with family or doing these things that didn't feel productive actually was, it changed everything. So I just encourage you to be open to that shift.
Yeah, I really love that, and it shows up in all sorts of weird ways. So you might not think that you spending time, you being aligned with your life partner or spending time with your family is not going to have an effect on your productivity. But imagine a time where you're sitting there trying to do the work and you feel guilty that you never spent time with your kids or family, or you feel disconnected from your life partner. How much can you focus in that time? How much can you be there? Now, there are people who can get away from all that and they suppress the emotions that might come in there, but to deal with the root causes, to actually be aligned with your partners, with the people in your life, to actually not feel like you need to think about it a lot. And my view is that when I'm at work, I'm fully here. I don't need to. When I'm with my family, I don't need to worry about work. So I'm like, it goes both ways. So just rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 in each of the major relationships on a scale of 1 to 10. How would you rate yourself? Are you intentional? Are you taking out time to actually dedicate that to your relationships or not? And I'll give you about 2 minutes in that, and then we'll go to the next section. We can put on some music. Sure. Right, we can go to the next category. Thank you all for working through that one. And make sure you have your ratings in front of you because you're going to be answering some questions in relation to those ratings that Dr. Sherry will be walking you through. Now, work, business, and if you're in the transition from your W-2 to business, you might be doing multiple things, or you might have multiple businesses. You're doing the multifamily and you're running something else too. Usually, as I've worked with multifamily investors, they're doing multiple things. I want you to rate yourself. You can give yourself a general rating, or you can give yourself a specific rating in all of these. One of the things that I want you to think about is a lot of times when you jump in, even though the multifamily path is supposed to be a long-term path, a lot of times people lose track of that and they will try to do a lot of short-term stuff. Let me get my first deal without thinking about the long term. Like, what does it look like long term? So I want you to kind of stretch your timeline a little bit. Think of it a decade out rather than like 1 year, 2 years. And more than likely, if this is the vehicle you've picked that's gonna help you build your life, then you need to start thinking about it that way. Stretch that timeline, but start to think about it in terms of sustainability as well, because you're not going to be in this for 6 months, 3 months, or 9 months. You're going to be in this for a few years. So, which means that you're going to be building skill sets in the beginning that will move you forward. So the skill sets might be your ability to connect with brokers better, your ability to get better deals. Skill sets might be for you to connect with investors if you're picking the capital raising path, getting in your investor base done, or it might be finding the underwriting the right deals, whatever that looks like. So this is a long-term path, which means that until you get a few deals, you're going to be learning a lot in the process, not just learning intellectually, but you're applying it and working through it. And that is not an easy process in any kind of entrepreneurship path. So when you're rating, especially that business side, how productive do you feel are you on a scale of 1 to 10? Are you intentional about building on the skill sets you need to move this business forward, this work forward, especially on the business side? But of course, if you're doing something, you're progressing in your job, then that's a different, you can also work on those. So how's your planning process? Are you thinking on a scale of 1 to 10? Are you clear about the long-term plan, 10 years out, 5 years out? Are you clear about how effective are you on a week-to-week, day-to-day basis? Are you actually blocking out time to do certain specific tasks that actually move the needle? Or are you unclear about that? You're waking up and you don't know what to focus on. And how efficient are you in the process? Are you constantly distracted by different things that you're doing, or are you focused on specific things that actually move you forward? So, like I said, you can actually, and are you actually measuring your progress? This is a key area to think about a lot of, because this is a long-term path. A lot of people on this path, they will feel discouraged because they're waiting for the big outcome to come, the first deal or the third deal or whatever. But there are small things that you can celebrate throughout the path. Are you actually doing that on a scale of 1 to 10? Are you looking at what you did, what you learned, and what you move forward every week? Do you have an accountability group, a group of amazing people here where you're meeting, you're keeping each other accountable, you're celebrating each other? Is that part of your process? So rate yourself there around the progress. Are you celebrating that progress on a scale of 1 to 10? Sherry, did you want to add something to that?
I think you covered it all, Faisal.
Okay, let's give it a couple of minutes, and then we'll take it to the next step. You can stop the music. So I'd love for you guys to just take a screenshot of this. Maybe we can send this to you as well. You will get the recording for this, but just take a screenshot of this. Until you get used to this, you want to do this assessment at least once a month, just to look at what's happening, where are you? And really, the point of this is not to judge yourself or anything. The point of this is to understand where you are and where you need to go. And we're going to ask you some questions that will help you go towards the progress, because right now you're just understanding what's happening. We can stop sharing for a second, Sherry. I'd love to hear from everybody as you went through that assessment. What is the thing that stood out for you in relation to your own life? If you can just put that in the chat for me. I'd love to hear that from you guys. As you went through that assessment around productivity, what did you notice about your life? What is a realization, or what is something that you noticed that you weren't noticing before, or you weren't paying enough attention to? You can put that in the chat for me.
I love your honest response, Neil.
By the way, this can hurt. This is actually an exercise in honesty, and usually honesty can be very bitter for us and for others. So that's okay. You're in the right place. I appreciate the honesty, as Dr. Sherry shared. I'd love to get a few other responses. And I'd love for you to kind of look at some of these answers, because it'll give you a clue as to what are some of the things that people struggle with generally, because you guys are going to be working as a team, or you're going to be working with other investors, and you will notice that every human being deals with these kind of challenges. You're not alone. And we're so many sharing, I could improve a lot in my spiritual and personal growth. Now that hurt, realize I'm all over the place. Like we said, it's an exercise in honesty, and this is why we need to review it consistently to understand. Once you start to become you align your life to the things that matter to you, and you move those in a positive direction, then that hurt goes away with feeling a sense of pride, a sense of connection, a sense of excitement with your life. And that's what we want to get to. David, under personal growth, need work on spiritual. Mia, I should have financial meetings with my husband. Probably one of the most important things you're gonna do in your life. It's a lot. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten my clients, including myself with my wife, where like we're looking at the whole year, is like, why don't we just spend all this money on all this stuff, because we hadn't reviewed it enough times. Cody, I can do better. Keith, in the moment when I'm there, but need to do better at blocking time. Lynn, I didn't pay enough attention to break down my goals into a more conducive way. I have high hopes, but on the other hand, I didn't do enough to make it come true. We're going to talk a lot about that, how you can break down, and we even have a bonus for you that will help you a lot. Thank you for sharing that. Eduardo, need work on all of the above. David, relationships need work with team partners, work business need to work. So as you can see, we all need to make improvements. And if you're not intentional about these areas, it doesn't matter what kind of tool you have. You might say that I'm learning about block times, but if you haven't done an assessment like this, you have no idea where to block time. You're just going to randomly pick a few things to do, but the things that are most important, they kind of get dropped off. And the biggest things, one of the biggest things I want you to take away from this is that assessment is literally the snapshot of your life. Those are the most important categories of your life. We didn't stress on one area, which is contribution, but that kind of falls into the relationships and other areas, which we're going to do we'll talk about how we'll go towards that. But really take that assessment, go through it at least once a month. It'll help you understand what to focus on. And Dr. Sherry is going to take you through now, what are you going to do with that assessment? How can you think about the improvement piece of it? So Sherry, you can jump in there.
Perfect. And before I do my screen share again, one of the core human drives that is universal is challenge. We must be challenged as humans. And so I just want that to be the frame for this assessment. This isn't again, this isn't an assessment for us to allow it to beat ourselves down and to stay stuck in, oh my gosh, I'm failing. I'm not even close to where I want to be. but rather that it's an opportunity to be challenged and give you hope and work towards something in the future that is super meaningful for you. If you gave yourself all tens, geez, what is there left in life? So the fact that you didn't give yourself all tens, I think that is something to celebrate, because that is something that you can allow to challenge you, which when we're challenged, we gain energy, and it just there is something important there. All right, Faisal, did you want to add something? You looked like you were.
No, that's great. Let's
Okay.
move on out. Just reading the comment, Brian sharing, tracking progress is not a strength. Often knowing where I am at and how far I've come, I don't pay enough attention to and give enough credit, often negative self-talk. So a couple of things, we'll talk about how you can work through some of that stuff, but two things I want to point to is, one, you need the right group of people, especially in the community that you're in. You should be connecting with a few people every week on a call and sharing your progress, celebrating each other, keeping each other accountable to the things that will keep you aligned. And when we got you to track yourself, so part of sharing progress is like when you're sitting down with your life partner, looking at your life, like what's working, what's not working, where can we improve, here are the areas, like that's checking progress. When you have a calendar system, when you can work through that, and we'll talk about how you can build all that stuff, you can actually measure this stuff and get excited about it and keep being on that learning journey to grow and actually move forward, rather than feeling the hurt of, oh, I'm not doing this thing. So there's a lot you can do there, and we're excited to share that as we move forward.
Yes. Okay, so now we get to shift into what are some of the really thoughtful questions that you can ask yourself to start to find those areas that you can intentionally improve. So Faisal already started the process by asking you, okay, now that you did this assessment, you thought about these areas, what are some of the things that you noticed? So the next question with that is, where do you feel you are not being productive enough in life based on that assessment? So I want you to really be specific about that and write it down underneath the assessment that you just did. And we'll give you a couple minutes to do that. Right, if you want to finish up with your thoughts that you're writing down. All right, so the next question, what do you feel is most important in your mission and your achievements right now in relation to your vision? Now, you might not really fully have a picture of what your vision is. And that's okay, because most people that Faisal and I work with in the real estate investing space, and I think just in general, I was the same way. Like, I didn't have an amazing picture of what my vision for my life was. I had ideas, I had goals, I had thoughts, but not like this cohesive vision where all of this stuff kind of fit together like a big puzzle with the pieces that kind of fit in together. And that's where I got a little bit stuck, because I had pieces in my puzzle that I realized didn't fit with some of those other pieces in my life. And I'm like, oh no. So if you don't feel like you've got this vision already dialed in, that's totally okay, because you're going to learn at the end of this call an opportunity that will help you dial that in a little bit more. So that's okay. But as much as you know, as much as you have your vision identified for your life, what do you feel is really the most important right now? We'll give another couple minutes for that. All right, if you want to finish up with that thought. And then, are you moving towards that vision at the pace that you really want? If yes, then what can you do to celebrate the fact that you are moving at a speed that feels consistent with what you want? And if not, what might you need to do that can improve the speed in which you and the pace in which you are moving towards your, the things that are most important for you in your vision? So just really think about your journey and your pace towards your journey. How are you feeling about that? And we'll give you a couple minutes to think about that, and recognize that your pace is going to be different based on these different domains. Like the pace that you are achieving maybe some health goals may be very different than the pace in which you feel like the real estate investing part of your vision is materializing. So just recognize that it's going to be all over the place depending on what pieces that you're talking about and you're thinking about. right, if you want to finish up with your thought that you're writing. And now Faisal is going to shift the questioning into really thinking about some things that you can do to change. But before we do that, Faisal, is there anything that you wanted to add as we shift here?
No, that's good. We can jump into the next slide. This is the last slide we're going to go through, and then we're going to have an opportunity for all of us to share a little bit as well. Thank you, Sherry. Appreciate it. We can go into the questions. So now we want to think more about as you're thinking about your achievements, as you're looking at that assessment, the areas that you need to improve on. If you were to pick three things, whether it's in a specific category or in generally in all those areas or in some specific areas, what are three things you need to change to become 3 to 10 times more productive in 2024? And make it very specific. So that could be a new routine. That could be like, you know what, I'm going to work out 5 days a week. That will help me be energized and that will help me be focused. Or that could be that, you know what, I'm going to block out 2 hours a day and I'm just going to focus on moving talking to brokers, for example, or speaking to investors, or I'm going to figure out my capital raising funnel that I need to build out, whatever that is. Or I need to block out half a day and actually spend time with my spouse once a week to review what's happening in our life so we can figure out how to work on this together as a team. Whatever it is, what are the three things you need to change to become 3 to 10 times more productive? But by the way, some of those, it doesn't have to be big thing. It can be a small thing. It could be, it's like, I'm just going to wake up early 2 hours, which means that you need to go to sleep a couple hours earlier the night before, not just force yourself to wake up early the next day. And the next part of that question, once you come up with those three things, what would be your next steps towards that change? So what is the next step you're actually going to take? Like, what's the next action step? So if you say that I'm going to build this habit, okay, how are you going to do that? Are you going to put it on your calendar? Or are you going to put it on your calendar and get somebody to keep you accountable? Or are you going to start this thing that you've been putting off for a while? Or are you going to actually look at your finances? What is the next step for you to move forward? And I'll give you a couple of minutes to think through that. You'd be surprised how much your productivity shifts when you become intentional about these part of your life. And you will notice that you don't actually need a lot of tools. What you need is intentionality. What you need is, and then tools come in when you need reminders and systems to remember that you need to do certain things. We'll talk about that as we move forward, but for now, just set those things. So I'll give you a couple of minutes to think through these questions, and then we'll start sharing a little bit after this. Let's put on some music for a couple of minutes. You should be wrapping up with your thoughts next few seconds. Or we can stop sharing. I'd love to actually get whoever can, please turn on your cameras because we're gonna do a little bit of shares as well. This will give us a chance to connect with each other. It's a small group. It's not that big of a group here. If you can, of course, if you can't, I understand fully. So I want you to take a deep breath and just take a few seconds to just review what you went through and looking at it from the start of it, the assessment and the questions that you went through, look at what stands out for you. And I want you to think about what is the biggest takeaway or the biggest insight that came to you as you work through this whole process. What was the biggest insight? And I want you to think about the second thing is what is the next step for you towards improving based on that insight, towards growing based on that insight. So, what is the biggest insight that came to you as you work through this whole process? And what is your next step towards growth? Put that in the chat for me, and then we'll take some verbal shares as well. I'll give you about 30 seconds for that.
And of course, those that are listening after the fact or not in the Zoom room, all of these questions we're asking you, it behooves you. I love that word. It behooves you to do all of these things as you're listening and watching too, because this is all about your life, your vision, your success, your impact. And so do this for yourself.
Yeah. And by the way, another thing I want to mention as you're working through this is that this is what we call thinking. So you know the thoughts that you get consistently on in your head and you confuse that with thinking, that's just mental chatter. Most of the thoughts that we consistently have in our head are just, oh, I need to do this, I need to do that. Oh, there's this thing that I'm worried about. None of those are productive thoughts. When you go through, and this is why you will understand that it actually takes energy to think like this because you're actually forcing your mind to be intentional and build a plan for yourself as you move forward. And this is just a surface. It's not even as deep as we generally go as coaches. So we're going to be sharing how we can move this forward to the next level soon. So we're getting some shares here. Mia, I need to go to bed and get up early. Awesome. Love that. And make that more specific. What time are you going to do that? And when are you going to start? Is it tonight? Is it tomorrow? Maintaining a solid morning routine, self-development work, sitting in silence, writing first thing. Awesome. When are you starting that? Make that specific. Manny, I think I should think harder about my personal goals and why I want to achieve them. I also want to work more connecting my spiritual goals and financial goals. Um, Planning. I'd love to get a couple of shares. Nell, would you like to share a little bit? Because before you shared that this hurt, and then you're sharing with exclamation planning. What happened as you worked through this for you, and what are your thoughts right now?
I realized, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine.
Okay. Nah, I just realized that I was all over the place after we did the initial assessment.
Mhm.
And I need to stop allowing roadblocks to bleed into my next day. And what I mean by that is I will run into a roadblock and I know help is there. For whatever reason, I won't ask for help. And so Monday will become Wednesday. Wednesday will become Saturday. The whole time I'm pissed off because I feel like I'm failing. And I'm going, this is something that I know everybody overcame and moved forward. I'm still dealing with it from a week ago. And I wasted a whole week of progress. So I get pissed off. And so that's why I'm saying I need to plan. Like I'm all over the place. If something else comes up and I allow it to come up as opposed to putting it on a scale and going, okay, this I can take care of later. This I need to take care of now. Instead, I'll just everything will bleed into everything. And it's all because I let that one roadblock take me off my plan. And so now I'm all over the place. I got a good I work with Cody. Well, Cody works with me. He lays out a plan for me. I do it, and I swear I'm 57 years old, but I swear I look at when I see the meetings with Cody now, I'm so stressed because I'm like, I'm incomplete with my assignment. Oh crap! So now, and it just bleeds. I'm telling you, I think everybody is Michael Blank, and I'm the only guy standing over here on the island by myself, going, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. And I think everybody else is on the other side of the moat going, what are you doing? What are you doing? I stress myself out. So
Yeah.
that's why I said it hurts, because I'm like, it's like looking in the mirror and admitting all your faults and everything you did wrong. Now, as opposed to what I'm going to do, I am going to ask for help, and I am going to stop allowing whatever the roadblock is, regardless of how small or how giant I think it is. I'm going to ask for help and stop allowing Tuesday to bleed into Wednesday, Wednesday to bleed into Thursday. Meanwhile, I'm stuck standing still, as opposed to doing even a mistake is still productivity. Because I didn't know it was a mistake yesterday. Find out it's a mistake, move on. What's the next thing? So that's what I'm getting out of it right now.
That's
But I am
incredible.
going to.
There's so much in there now.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. I'm all over the place, man. I'm telling you, it's make
No,
no sense. It makes no sense. But I'm just, I
no,
want it.
it actually makes perfect sense. By the way, does like I know there are people who are in different places, but has anybody felt like Nell before, like as they're working through this? Can you raise your hand? Just so you know, you're not the only one. Just so you understand, you might think that in your head that's the case. I'm curious, as you shared this, what did you feel? What do you feel right now?
I feel embarrassed, but I feel good.
Okay.
I know Cody's on the call. I didn't want him to know that I'm scared of our calls every every time.
Cody, you're scaring the hell out of people. What are you doing here?
And it's just all because I know, you know, he's telling me the ABCs and I'm going A, C, G,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and so I just get I'm stressed out.
Yeah.
That's what it is. I'm stressed, between life like everybody else's life and work
Yeah.
like everybody else's work. This is what I want to do. This is going to be the vehicle for me to have a more comfortable life. And comfortable for me is not for me, it's for my
Yeah.
family.
Yeah.
So it pisses me
Who's
off.
in your family now? Who's in the family?
My wife, my three daughters, my grandkids.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just wanna be able to I just want them to live a comfortable life as pain-free as possible, even when I'm not here. And that's what all this is for.
Yeah.
That's what all
That's
this is
something.
for. And I've
So,
I've I've been away, so I
yeah.
just I wanna do the right thing for them. That's what it is.
Well, first of all, I really want to celebrate you for your courage to share this, because this was vulnerable for you to share, and as embarrassed as you felt, you shared it, and then it also sounded like a declaration for me too, is that no, you're gonna actually do this thing. A couple of things I heard in there. One is that you are being really hard on yourself in the process, and I want you to listen for that, because a lot of times when we're hard on ourselves, we kind of punish ourselves internally. So instead of punishing, and we're going to talk about how you can work through this, because we have a bunch of bonuses for you to work through this. We want to be able to support you. And this is why Michael Blanc has set up this process, because this is not an easy process that you're going to go through. So instead of kind of being hard on yourself, we're going to set up a review system. So what does that mean? That means that you're not judging yourself for not getting the thing done. You're reviewing, okay, once you get to the point where you have everything organized, you're going to see what worked this week, what didn't work, what can I improve. In fact, keep these three questions with you. By the end of the day, by the end of the week, you all want to ask yourself, what worked today, what didn't work, what can I improve tomorrow? That is a better way of approaching challenges rather than being, oh, I'm a piece of crap because I didn't do that. Second, I think the pressure that you have on yourself as a husband, as a father, as a grandfather, we can leverage that. Like, I think that's really powerful. What Sherry shared before, that it's challenging you to grow as a person. That doesn't mean you need to allow that pressure to break you down as a person. This is why we want to improve the process rather than be hard on ourselves. And the other thing that I heard in there was support. You're having a hard time asking for support. So can you tell me why do you feel like you have a hard time? But even if you don't know the reason, what do you think you can do to be open to asking for support? Because you were pretty courageous and vulnerable right now when you were sharing this. So what do you think you can do there?
Oh, again, it's as simple as me using the resources that are being provided to me. As I said, and Cody's the perfect, I don't know, teacher, mentor, whatever you want title you want to give him. He's perfect for me because when he talks to me, he's one of those calm guys. And I don't know what he is on a regular basis, but when he's on the call with me, he's exactly what I need. Because when I get on the call with him, I'm 100 miles an hour inside my head, but that's just me all the time. And I constantly focus on what I didn't do, what I didn't accomplish, as opposed to what I did accomplish. So I always feel like I'm coming up short, even when I get on, DMM. When I get on the website and get on the community, it's like I'm looking at everybody, and like I said, I think everybody is Warren Buffett, and I'm the only guy over here that's like, oh well, guys, how do you turn your computer on? It's like I don't even want to get on the conversation because I'm like,
Yeah.
everybody's gonna look at me like, well, we already over here. Nobody's got time for you with this. How do you cut your computer on? And so I wound up not asking.
Yeah.
Which is where I say, I'll go back to my course and I'll try to figure it out. And then I look up and I'm going, okay, it's time for me to go to bed. I drive for a living. And I drive hours and hours and hours a day. I can't be sleep driving. But while I'm at work now, I'm stressing myself out because I'm going, okay, one day has passed and I didn't do what I needed to do.
Yeah.
And it just bleeds. It bleeds. So like I said,
I love this because what you're sharing is a lot of inefficiency in your process. So if you're stuck somewhere, and this is why I'm guessing, and I don't know what the boundaries around the relationships are, and when can you ask for help? I'll get actually Cody to clarify that. So Cody, and this is not just for Nell, for everybody in here. Like when is it when is it reasonable for the members to ask for help?
Anytime, for sure. Realize that I'm going to time my response, right? I'm not going to wake up at 1 a.m. and answer your response, but you can ask for help anytime, and we're gonna help you out, right? Especially, I know a couple people on here. I've definitely gotten on a call same day for 2 hours because I had the time and they needed it, right? So, that's what I'm here for, right? Again, not all the time I can do that length of time. Sometimes it is only a 15-minute or 5-minute like phone call just to get you back, get your mind back in gear and say like, so what? We didn't do it yesterday. What are we gonna do to change it today, right? So, just just realize I'm here to give you that push and give you that external check-in and external push if you need it, or external support if you need it, but or that guidance how to turn on the computer, right? um and yeah, so I'm here all the time. Definitely have a morning and an evening that's always pretty much open to you guys. You can always see that on the group, the DMM. And then otherwise we can always set up something, right? Reach out, send me a message, we got it.
Awesome. And that's for everybody to I mean, Cody's gonna start getting a lot of calls after this, so he's gonna be pretty busy. But the key here is, and one of the things that I've learned working with real estate investors for a while is that what you're sharing is not just your struggle. Pretty much everybody struggles with asking for help. because we, as much as we've worked within like teams and other things, we've kind of done our own things, but especially when you go towards entrepreneurship, you need a lot of help from other people. I mean, Dr. Sharon and I are business partners as well. We spent a couple hours trying to prepare for this whole thing together, and we worked on it. And I didn't know certain things, how to structure it. Sherry knew some of the things I knew, and we're kind of working together to make this happen. That's going to be a big part of what you do, working together with other people. And generally speaking, business requires you to work with other people. So this is also training for you to grow in this field. And this is going to help you a lot. But I'll leave it at that. Now, Nell, how do you feel right now?
I feel way better than I did at the start of this. I just
Great.
want to clear up, like I said, Cody's awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
He's always available. So if I made it sound like he wasn't, but it's hard for him to know when I need help if I'm not saying, Cody, I need help.
Yeah.
I'll know I need help, but I won't reach out to him. And
Yeah.
that's going to change. You know,
Awesome.
but and that's probably the biggest thing, that in planning, if I do run into a problem, to just reach out to him then, even if it's a text or an email, and he can get back to me when he can, but at least I know I asked for help and I can continue moving forward as opposed to
Yeah.
just standing still and waiting.
Yeah.
And that's why I actually took off today to attend this webinar.
Awesome. Well, so great to have you here, Nell. And this is not just for Nell. As we were going through this, you're all going to struggle with very similar things on your path. You might not need help from Cody, but you might need help from your life partner. You might need help from somebody around you to maybe take care of the kids, or maybe take care of something so you can focus on this thing. You might need help to, you might not know how to get aligned with the people around you. You might need training in that area. You might not know how to do that. You might be struggling with your finances. You don't know how to handle that. You might be struggling with how to focus and how to get rid of distractions. Asking for help is probably one of the best things you can do as you move forward. Of course, you're doing your own part as you're moving forward. But the whole point of this community is so you can get the support that you need to move forward. And I think Michael Blanc understands how difficult this path is. That's why there's so much support available from the technical point of view, from the mindset point of view, so many things. But we're all here to support you. And that's the whole point of this community. Sherry, did you want to add something here, or any questions?
Yeah, and Nell, I just want to also commend you for being willing to share how you're feeling about this, because this is a very universal challenge of feeling embarrassed or ashamed because we don't know something, or we're not at the level that we think other people are at. And I've spent years working with addicts, drug addicts and alcoholics, as a psychologist. And I won't ask anybody if they know how the AA program works, but one of the most powerful aspects of the AA program is that the addicts share their challenges, and there's this phenomenon that shame thrives in silence, and it doesn't matter what it is, and as odd as it may be to talk about that sort of thing in this sort of context, you know, we all have shame around certain things. And when we're willing to verbalize it, the shame, the intensity and the strength of that shame and that embarrassment starts to decrease. And so the more that you share, the more that you know, even when you have your meeting with Cody, or if anybody else has their meeting and they're like, just start out by saying, you know what, I'm beating myself up right now. Just own it and say it, because it then takes the power out of that thought that's feeding into the feeling, and then you can move on. And the cool thing is, I don't know if you've had this experience with spouses or significant others, the more that you can muster up, I'm sorry, the easier it gets over time, and you're able to say you're sorry a little bit quicker next time. Same thing, it just becomes a habit. So by not keeping that feeling silent, and by sharing it and willing to own it, it will then slowly become less of a thing over time, and you will kind of habit yourself out of being stuck because of how you felt originally. So I just kind of wanted to add that kind of perspective to the conversation too.
I love that. That's so powerful. And by the way, if you guys haven't looked at the work by Dr. Brené Brown, you can actually search TED Talk Shame by Dr. Brené Brown, and also Vulnerability. It'll help you. And she has a book. She has a few books, but I love her book, The Power of Vulnerability. It'll help you understand. And one of the things that I want to point out, the path that you're on in terms of being productive, it's actually you would be surprised how much your emotions are involved in the process. You will be going through this whole thing for the next few months or years to get stabilized at some point. So what you're actually building is emotional resilience, which is actually what you need as an entrepreneur more than anything else. You're not in the safe realm anymore. You need to be able to deal with all this. You need to be able to be creative. You need to be able to move forward despite the challenges. So that requires you to actually do these kind of assessments. That requires you to be focused. That requires you to get rid of distractions. That requires you to ask for help. That requires you to get your life partner involved. That requires you to do a lot of things. What most people do when they jump in, they kind of go in their own head, in their own corner, and they get frustrated, overwhelmed, stressed, and nothing actually moves forward. And a few months later, they will get burnt out, and they will start to blame other people in the process. They feel resentful because something is not working. I can't tell you how many people that I've worked with, they come in, well, my wife or my husband is not supporting me. I'm like, well, do they know what you're doing? It's like, well, they know because I'm working on this thing. Like, have you shared the specific thing you're sharing with me? Like, no, because they're unsupportive. I'm like, why do you think they're unsupportive? So it goes in a circle in that process, but that's just one side of it. But when we don't ask for support, when we don't assess where we are, when we don't work on a review process, it doesn't work. And this was just the beginning of what we're doing. What we're part of Michael Blanc's program is that we're actually helping you build your whole path, because this is something Mike Blanc himself, he's shared this in the podcast, where he's like, the first few years he struggled. He was jumping into all sorts of different things, but none of those are moving him forward in the right direction. Had he had a better vision for his life, and had he had a strategy to move towards it, he would have been even farther ahead than he is right now. And he recognizes that. That's why he set up the deal maker mindset. And we'll talk a little bit about what you can do to get involved in that. So not just do this assessment, but actually create your long-term vision plan, actually understand what to focus on that are needle movers on your path, how you can generate that influence that you need to build that team, build that path forward, how you can break through all the shackles of fear that we deal with consistently and actually develop more courage internally. So we've created a program that we've ran at least at this point 7 times. So Dr. Sherry will share a little bit about it, that you can be a part of that. And we also have a couple of bonuses for you, or at least one bonus for you that you can take advantage of as you move forward. So Sherry, you want to jump in there?
Are we ready to do that? I was thinking we still have a little bit of time to kind of hear some other insights.
We can do that if you want. Yeah.
Okay. So Nell shared a little bit of kind of where he's at, and we were able to kind of expound on that. And anytime that the beauty of groups like this is anytime that you hear somebody else kind of sharing their struggles, and you're getting to observe that conversation, a lot of times those things can apply to us. And so you can think about, oh, how does that fit for my life? Do I have similar struggles? Or maybe you don't have similar struggles, and you can be like, why don't I have similar struggles? How have I done something that's helped? So I just kind of wanted to set that context for that. Would love to hear another share of what is bubbling up for you as you're kind of really delving into the below the surface stuff in productivity. Maybe somebody interested in kind of sharing what's going on for them at the moment as you're sitting and listening and contemplating. Keith, I see that. Go for it.
Yeah, I can share. I just recently quit my job with Amazon. Me and my wife were, in a pretty comfortable place, but we want to be even more comfortable. So that's why we're doing this to build some long-term wealth for us and our family. And I noticed that, like, I know we've just got out of the holidays. My last day of work was on Christmas Eve, so
Wow.
haven't really got into a routine. But I noticed what I have not been doing that I did when I was working. I would go in the morning at work, and I would write down everything that I had to do. for that day. I'd write it all down and I prioritize, my big rocks. These are the things I must get done. Here's my time wasters. Here's the things I could delegate. And, not that they're doing that, but they kind of like, well, I was planning on getting up at 4:30 this morning, working out, and but it ended up being like 6:30 or 7. Uh, so that's something I definitely can do better at, and that does help. Writing down and at the end of the day, all the things you didn't get done, turn the page. The next day's list. Take all those tasks, put them on the next page and say, these are the things I didn't get done yesterday that I'm going to prioritize tomorrow if they're important. And those are the things I need to work on. Like my wife, she works all the time, and so it's a little bit of a struggle. Finding time to good work-life balance, to spend time with family. But we manage, and being able to block those times off and actually do it. But without being on a schedule, getting up at a certain time and following the plan, you're not going to be able to accomplish those things, which we all do in a normal job. We have to be there at a certain time. We go home at a certain time, and when you're not doing that in your free time, you have to manage it just like you are when you're at work.
Yeah. Well, Keith, congratulations at making this monumental shift out of your job into, full-time entrepreneurship is what I'm hearing.
Yes, that's the plan. I'm open to other jobs if something presents itself.
Okay.
But Amazon was too much. It was a struggle for me and my wife to even spend any time at all together. So,
Okay. Well, I honor the fact that it sounds like you made a significant shift to stay in integrity with what matters the most for you and your family. I would guess that was probably a hard fought decision to take that step. So I think that's to be celebrated. And one of the most common challenges I often hear with people that are shifting out of their job, and maybe you're in between jobs, not really sure, but you hit it on the head that there's external accountability at a job typically, and now there's 100% internal, maybe not 100%, but a significant amount of internal accountability at this point. And so my question to you is, when you think about that internal accountability, what is the one thing that if you did that one thing would help you become more accountable to yourself and kind of get all of those things that we talked about that you want to do done and stay accountable? Like, what is the one thing that if you change that one thing, everything else would be easier to accomplish?
Getting up at 4:30 in the morning.
Okay.
And grinding out what I need to do, which is hitting the gym, and then you have the rest of your day to knock out those things that you can do. Getting up at 7 o'clock is not going to get it.
Okay. And so getting up at 4:30, is there something that you can do, because that's already been the goal, but it hasn't happened for a few days? Is there something that you can change or tweak or add to or take away to make sure that 4:30 happens for you?
Yeah, I set my alarm. That's honestly what it is. I just haven't made the effort. I'm honest, I haven't made the effort to do it. Just kind of like, I'll get up when my wife gets up, she gets up a little later and goes to sleep a little bit later. So, I was me and my wife are both retired military. I was in the Army for 20 years. So I went from, getting up at 4:30 every morning for 20 years straight, and then getting a civilian job where I didn't have to do that, and then going on night shift with Amazon, working overnights for the last year, which is really the driver that made me want to quit. So it was a big schedule change. So I just need to get back in a routine of what I like to do. It's getting up at 4:30 and getting my workout in, and then moving forward with my day.
Okay. All right. Who's going to hold you accountable to the 4:30?
Me.
Do you need somebody else to hold you accountable too? I see
My
Cody
wife's not get,
laughing.
my wife's not getting up at 4:30, so she's
She
the only other
will,
one.
she can still hit you with a pillow if you don't get up.
No, Cody's up. Cody's gonna do a wake up call with him.
Yeah, Cody, you gonna wake me at 30?
Well,
Wake me up
which
too.
time zone are you in? Maybe.
I'm on Central Time Zone.
Oh yeah, we're both central. I'm not getting up 4:30. Sorry. I got little ones. I'm up in the middle of the night. I got a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old and another one on the way. So that ain't happening.
Wow.
But they're, on my calls with you, I can definitely check in like how many times this week did you make it, right?
There we go.
That's my problem. I can't get up early enough.
I
Um,
know my personal thing on that is putting
Sure.
an alarm on my phone. Yeah, okay, I always have that, but that's easy enough to swipe off and it's not annoying to anybody. It's just kind of quiet and paces up or ramps up. But I have another alarm clock that I have across the room that's an actual like old school like switch alarm clock,
Mhm.
and it's only a minute or two off from my phone. So if I don't get up and go turn that one off, it's waking up my whole house. And so there's drive to get up at that point. And
There
then
you
I'm out of bed, so nope, can't go back to bed. Now I'm going to the shower, right? Or whatever. So it's personal.
Sometimes I love that. I love these ideas. Sometimes the trick is when the internal motivation doesn't quite seem sufficient, add some of that external, like Cody's talking about. He's like, man, if my babies wake up, like my wife is gonna kill me. So then once that habit, kind of gets settled in, then you can kind of pull back and that internal motivation can kind of kick in again. So I love that. All right. Thank you so much for sharing, Keith. And I look forward to seeing kind of how things progress for you at getting up at 4:30 in the morning. That's fantastic. All right. So we are going to share a little bit about, excuse me, a little bit about the opportunity that you guys have as being part of the Michael Blanc organization. This is something that is fairly new-ish amongst the sea of all of the amazing support that you guys have. And when I say fairly newish, we've been doing this actually for a couple years, but only a select few actually have been able to participate in it. And so we kind of really want to share with you what this opportunity is. And let me share here. So we have created, myself and Faisal and a handful of other high performance coaches work with the Michael Blanc organization to really make sure that it's not just the tactic and tools and the blueprint to buying real estate that you guys have, but also it's the blocks, the way that we interpret things and the thoughts that we have and the beliefs and the capacity that we believe we have in ourselves. Like those are the things that if we don't believe we can do something, it doesn't matter if you have the keys to the kingdom, you're not going to put them in the door and unlock the door. And so it's the beliefs and your mindset that really sets a stage for every success that you have, including your real estate investing success. And so we have built we have built a course, or not a course, a coaching program to really give you a solid foundation for really being able to examine where you're at in your beliefs in your mind, even more so than kind of what we've done today. But today was kind of a little bit of a taste. And we are launching just in a couple weeks here, we're launching our 8th coaching cohort. We've ran this 7 times already with other groups of amazing real estate, syndicators like yourself and the Michael Blanc organization. Raving reviews, everybody loves it. It's awesome. So I'm going to share with you a little bit about what it looks like. It is comprised of 6 2-hour group coaching sessions, typically done every other week. So it will span about a 3-month period of time. Session 1 is focused on building your vision. So when I ask that question about, are the things that you're doing right now really leading to the, accomplishing this vision that you have? And you might be like, I don't really know what my vision is. Or it feels really fuzzy, like I take my glasses off and I'm like, I can't, or maybe like what some of your backgrounds look like right now, like I can kind of see there's something back there, but not sure what it is. We want your vision to be super clear. And so session 1 is all about really dialing in your vision. Session 2 is about strategic goal setting. And this is taking into account the vision, and then how do you actually make sure that the things that you're aspiring to do and that the goals that you're creating are all in alignment with what your vision is, so you don't end up having these random things and have to undo it, or like I kind of shared in my story, having to kind of demolish the proverbial building to kind of rebuild it. We don't want you to have to do that. Session 3 is creating energy and vitality. And energy and vitality, it's kind of like the gas in your car. You might have the vehicle to do it, you might have the map, but if you don't have the gas, you're not going to get there. And wouldn't we all, I know I do, want more energy and vitality? So energy, of course, includes emotional energy, it includes your physical energy, it includes your mental energy, it includes relational energy. Vitality, I think about that as not just the energy, but like vibrancy. Like, do you wake up in the morning not only having energy, but like enthusiastic about the day and about different things? So like, how can we make that even more for you? And then session 4 is about fear to freedom. There are so many fears about jumping into real estate investing, and not just real estate investing, but real estate investing where you're now investing other people's money. And there's some big fears there, some big challenges. And so how do you recognize and move from letting those fears kind of keep you stuck to moving into the freedoms that have got you interested in real estate investing to begin with? The freedom of finances, the freedom of time, the freedom of location, the freedom to, to do what you want, when you want, where you want, with who you want, why you want, whatever other, wants are in there. That's the goal for so many people. Session 5 is about productivity and prioritization. So here we gave you a really great start on productivity, but of course, 2 hours can't encapsulate all of productivity. And so how do you then take productivity even one step further? And how do you prioritize based on that? And then the last session is about influence mastery, especially in large multifamily real estate investing. Influence is critical because we have these relationships that we're building teams. And if we're not intentional about the influence that we're having, because we have influence, whether you acknowledge it or not, you are influencing people. And so if you can be intentional about creating the influence that is consistent with what you need, but also is it's a two-way street. Other people are influencing you at the same time that you're influencing other people. So how can we level up in that awareness that those in our lives are influencing us and we can influence them, and to create a greater kind of leveling everybody up at the same time? So that's the 6-session progression. And so the value of this group is $6,000. And not only on top of this group, you also, as a participant in the cohort, you get a 90-minute deep dive one-on-one session for every single individual person that's there. You don't have to do it, but geez, this is something that Michael Blanc has gifted you as part of this whole package, to be able to take any one of these topics in these sessions and really deep dive in one of them, or something entirely different. Whatever it is, you can deep dive for 90 minutes, just you and a coach, and it can be super duper powerful. And that's valued at $1,000 in and of itself. So that's the entire program is valued at $6,000. And now you might be thinking, yeah, I've already paid a lot of money to be here. So you're not going to pay $6,000. You're not even going to pay $3,000. You're not even going to pay $1,500. In fact, Michael Blanc has said, just, he's like Oprah. Everybody gets a coaching cohort if you ask and you're quick enough to get signed up. So you get all of this, the 6 sessions and the one-on-one, for $0 extra because you're already part of the Michael Blanc mentorship program. And so that is an amazing, but we've been running a new cohort about every quarter, and cohort 8 is getting ready to start. We take about 20 per cohort, which is a great number, because the amount of people that's able to show up every every week or every session is about the right number to be able to really deep dive. And we do breakouts. I like the ability to connect and grow relationships in these cohorts has just everybody's loved them. That we did have a gentleman who had to jump off early that was part of number 7, so I can't ask him right now his experience. I was the one that led cohort 7, so I know he was in it. Is anybody here been part of one of the mindset coaching cohorts in the past? Okay. I just want an
Well,
opportunity.
Cody can speak to it as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna
Perfect.
say I have, and we always send somebody from the Michael Blanc through as well. We send one of our employees through at the same time, just because it's the value to our employees too, right? So so yeah, I was through on the second or third one, and I think Faisal, I think you ran that cohort, and yeah, they're pretty amazing. Because how often do you really sit down and think about things outside of your normal day to day, right? How often do you really sit there and plan and mentally play checkers with your or chess with yourself and see where you're going with life, right? And this is something that kind of gets you to do that, both for your future and mentally, but also maybe on your spiritual side or maybe on your emotional side as well, right? And as you saw, like we were looking at relationships and everything across the board, it that continues through um, those 6 sessions there. So, and like Dr. Sherry said, it's it's 2 hours like this, but every 2 weeks, and it's always there's a point to it, right? There's a point to that call that time. There's a topic, and so yeah, they're really helpful.
Yeah.
I've gotten a lot of really great feedback from students every time somebody goes through. They're so thankful that we put them through there. And so as long as you guys are in the DMA program or the mentor program, this is a bonus that's extended to you guys. So
Yeah,
yeah.
so excited to share that. And there's also another bonus, the ongoing bonus that you get after you graduate from those 6 sessions. And we're not going to tell you what it is, but it's ongoing support that helps you keep focusing on ensuring that your mindset is continuing to level up and you're paying attention to some of the areas in your life that maybe are blind spots that you didn't even know are kind of keeping you stuck or keeping you from moving as fast as you possibly could. Faisal, did you have anything that you wanted to share about that?
Yeah, and we actually have I'm working with a couple of the members one-on-one as well, and they've been part of the groups, and huge when you look at their journey from the beginning of last year to this year, huge change. You might run into Chris Gonzalez, who like completely transformed. Like he wasn't even he's a capital raiser, and he was barely moving forward in that area. Now he just did his he's going through a raise right now, and like he had a hard time speaking about his story. He had a hard time trying to make sense of like how he's moving forward, what to focus on. But now he's just like moving forward at a whole different pace. Not only is he sharing a lot more on LinkedIn, because as capital raisers, you're pretty much a marketer. You're on LinkedIn, you're everywhere, you're talking to people, you're doing that. So he's sharing a lot more. He's going on podcasts, he's doing all that stuff. He's meeting a lot of investors. He's going through a race. But a lot of that happened because we went through a process with him and got him to unlock and move forward. And really, the whole point of this whole process is for you to take action. So we're helping you get organized in terms of your vision, in terms of your strategy, in terms of what to focus on, in terms of how to deal with the challenges that might come up, obstacles that might come up, so you can work through them, or at least get the support as you're working through them, and make sure that you're on the right track and not get distracted by a million other things that are going to come up as you go through this journey. So this is going to actually really help you be focused. And 2024 is going to help you become much more productive, probably 10x what you're doing right now is going to help you become much more energetic and excited about your life, because you're actually going to find a way to connect with all parts of your life, even if you are building in the initial stages of building this. So you're going to gain a lot out of it, and we have a lot of support available for you once you become part of it. And I think Cody, if you're interested in it, you can reach out to Cody, and Cody can put you in one of the groups. And Sherry, do we want to share the links as well for the one-on-ones?
Yes. So Heidi asked, when is this scheduled to start? So Monday, the next cohort is scheduled for Monday, January 22nd, and it's from 4 to 6 Eastern time. So the first 20 people that, you know, bombard his inbox and be like, pick me, will be will be the ones to get to jump into that opportunity. And if we have 40 that are like, pick me, you know what, then that just gives us motivation and to be able to then get the second one, or they would be the 9th cohort started even quicker than we had already planned. So just know that the sooner you reach out to Cody, the quicker you get it started, but don't let that. So for example, if that time and day doesn't work for you on Monday, January 22nd, then it's like every 2 weeks after that. I don't think there's any exceptions for holidays this time around, but you know, there could be. But if that time doesn't work for you, let him know, and he will put you on the waiting list for the next one. So there's that. And then the last bonus, I said at the very beginning, that you get $1,000 bonus for staying till the end of the session. So the group the mindset group that we just talked about wasn't even that bonus. The bonus that we're offering and extending to you today is a one-on-one session with Faisal or myself. And I've got the 2 links put in the chat. And so if any of the things we talked about today, any of the challenges, the frustrations, the embarrassment and shame, whatever came up for you today, and you're like, oh, I would just love the opportunity to really like figure that out, to talk that through, to like uncover, to break through, just to set something, to kind of get a plan figured out, whatever. That's what we're here for. And so those of you that are live on this call have the opportunity for this. People are going to watch this on a replay. They may be watching this on a live stream. And unfortunately, this bonus is not available to those. This is available to all of you here. So you do see the link here in the chat. So we encourage you to take advantage of that. We would be delighted. Either one of us, doesn't matter. We're here to serve you and whatever makes the most sense for you.
And there are actually 2 links in there. It looks like it's 1 link, but I shared it early. There are 2 links in there, and really keep in mind, so when you do book a call, we're going to get you to fill out a questionnaire, so we can actually dive into any part of your life you might be struggling in. So it doesn't have to be related to this topic. It can be around whether you're struggling in a part of your relationship, or struggling to seek support, struggling to get organized. Any part, we dive deep, and these sessions are we can go much deeper because it's one-on-one. And you'll see that they're incredibly powerful. People usually take away something that they've never thought of, never even considered doing. And that's one of the most powerful things that I've learned that in life or business is the things that we don't know that hurt us much more than the things that we do know. And the whole part in these sessions is to help you uncover some of the blind spots, it's stuck points, whether it's around your beliefs, around your behavior, around any areas that you don't know about. We can help you work through that, because the whole process of coaching is a discovery process. Within that discovery, we're going to help you figure that out. We never know that ahead, but this is a very unique process that will help you kind of move forward. And you might actually figure out what to focus on and accelerate exponentially in the next year as you go through that call. So make sure you book your call. It's a bonus call that we feel excited to offer it to you guys, whether you're part of the cohort or not. You get it as part of this call, just being with us.
Yeah, I so appreciate all of your involvement and your energy and your smiles and your contributions. These are always so much fun for Faisal and I to do, whether we're doing them together or separate or whatever. So we just want to thank you so much for your devoting time and energy to this, to yourself. And Cody, thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to be able to serve today in this way.
Of course, and thank you, Dr. Sherry, and thank you, Faisal. Guys, just before you leave, I mean, all of you should have my email. If you are interested, definitely email me just so I have a list of who's all there, and so that way when I do post it, because next week I will post it in the community, in the specific spots for you guys to be available for that, like the mentoring chat and all of that. I will post it there. If you guys are interested though, definitely message me on my email, and that way I just have you ready to go, and we're not missing I'm we're not missing that post or anything. But next week I will post that, and there will be more details to follow from there. But otherwise, I thank you all for showing up. Happy New Year. Brandon, you showed up right at the end here. Sorry, bud. But the recording will be posted here, so Brandon, you can get that. But otherwise, enjoy your day, guys, and